Hello dear, the Volkswagen Beetle. A car loved by millions for its charm, simplicity and reliability. But beneath its iconic design lies a story that's far from innocent. Did you know the Beetle's origins are tied to one of the darkest chapters in human history? It wasn't just a car. It was a tool of propaganda, born during Nazi Germany's rise to power. Adolf Hitler had a vision, a people's car that symbolized progress and prosperity. But behind this vision was a much darker reality, one rooted in control, exploitation, and manipulation. The story of the Beetle isn't just about innovation, it's about war, forced labor, and a propaganda machine that changed history. Today, we'll uncover the shocking truth behind the Volkswagen Beetle's controversial origins. The beginning of the Volkswagen Beetle. The Volkswagen Beetle was born in the chaos of 1930s Germany. After World War I, the country was struggling, jobs were scarce, and people were desperate for hope. Amid this turmoil, Adolf Hitler rose to power, promising to rebuild Germany's economy and restore its pride. One of his boldest ideas was the creation of a people's car. It would be cheap, reliable, and simple, something every German family could afford. But this wasn't just about transportation. For Hitler, it was a symbol of his vision for a united, powerful Germany. He called it the Volkswagen, or the people's car. To make it happen, he turned to Ferdinand Porsche, a brilliant engineer. Porsche's task? Create a car that could seat a family, hit 100 kilometers per hour, and cost no more than 990 Reichsmarks, about $140 at the time. Porsche began work, designing a car that was compact, durable, and affordable. Its rounded shape and air-cooled engine were revolutionary. But while the car's design was innovative, its purpose wasn't as innocent as it seemed. The Nazi regime used the Beetle as a propaganda tool, promising citizens they could own one by contributing to a savings plan. Thousands of Germans trusted the promise, handing over their hard-earned money. But the truth was cruel. The funds weren't used to build cars for families. They were redirected to support Hitler's war machine. Factories meant to produce Beetles were instead used to make military vehicles. The so-called people's car wasn't for the people at all. It was another tool of control, manipulation, and exploitation. The Beetle's creation was more than an automotive milestone. It was a chilling reminder of how ambition and propaganda can exploit hope. And this was just the beginning of its controversial story. The dark truth behind the production. The Volkswagen Beetle may have been called the people's car, but its production told a darker story. In 1938, a massive factory was built to produce the Beetle. But when World War II began, its purpose changed. Instead of making cars for families, the factory was used to produce military vehicles for the Nazi war effort. Even worse, much of this production relied on forced labor. Thousands of prisoners of war and concentration camp inmates were forced to work in brutal conditions, building vehicles they had no choice in creating. The regime also deceived citizens who had saved money to buy a Beetle, redirecting their funds to support the war. The Beetle's production wasn't about serving the people. It was about serving a regime built on control and exploitation. This dark chapter remains an undeniable part of its history. Post-war revival of the Beetle after World War II, the Volkswagen factory was in ruins, and the Beetle's future seemed over. But British officer Major Ivan Hurst saw potential. In 1945, he revived the factory, turning the Beetle into a symbol of rebuilding rather than propaganda. Production restarted, and the car's simple, reliable design won people over in a world desperate for stability. By the 1950s, the Beetle had shed its dark past and became a global icon, loved by families and countercultures alike. What started as a symbol of control transformed into one of hope and resilience. The legacy of the Volkswagen Beetle went on to become one of the most iconic cars in history. Its quirky design, affordability, and reliability made it a favorite worldwide. By the 1960s, it was more than just a car. It was a cultural symbol, embraced by movements like the counterculture in the US and recognized for its simplicity and charm. Despite its dark beginnings, the Beetle transformed into a symbol of freedom and individuality. Over 21 million units were sold, making it one of the best-selling cars of all time. Its story is one of reinvention, a reminder that even something tied to a dark past can evolve into something positive. Today, the Beetle remains a cherished piece of automotive history, loved for its journey from a controversial origin to a global icon. Its legacy is proof that history, no matter how complex, shapes what we create and how it's remembered. In conclusion, the Volkswagen Beetle's story is a mix of darkness and transformation. It started as a tool for propaganda, but became a global icon of freedom and individuality. Its history is complex, but its legacy proves that even something tied to a dark past can find a brighter future. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold histories and fascinating stories. Let us know in the comments what you think about the Beetle's journey.